Alright, folks, welcome back to the Trials of the Realm campaign. Unfortunately, as sad as I am to say, the video for this episode was unfortunately lost. It was corrupted. I could not get a clean copy from Twitch recordings. So unfortunately, the original video, the original copy of this episode is kind of lost to the winds, which is unfortunate because we all pretty much universally agree that it was probably our best session to date. But since I don't have the video, I'm going to be doing a quick recap of what exactly happened for this episode. Especially important considering how much really big stuff happened in this session and how much went down, and how if we just kind of skip this over and brush it, under with like just a quick blurb at the beginning of next session, a lot of stuff won't make sense. But starting off, the party having finished off the black spawn stalkers that they had found in this cavern, introduced themselves to the individual who they rescued, who introduced himself as Agnoth Ironglow, an adventurer from one of the neighboring kingdoms who had been tracking the black spawn stalkers across a very large distance after reports of them attacking and raiding different farms for crops, eating livestock, etc. He had tracked them into the worm tunnels and had unfortunately been caught in an ambush where he was currently being held by them. Thankfully, the party managing to rescue him, saved him from a very unfortunate fate. The party was pretty beaten up, had used a good deal of their resources, and decided to, in the caves, rest up. Having learned from their previous encounter with the carrion feeders, figuring out that they kind of tracked the smell of blood and flesh of slain creatures, and how they occupied these tunnels, the party opted to move the bodies of the black spawn stalkers further on down past the area. They ended up clearing out a bunch of the webs, checking for any hidden entrances that other creatures might use to get in, and taking the former den of the black spawn stalkers. They set up camp in a fortified position, with June and Warden keeping watch. They ended up taking a long rest. Upon waking, however, as they were moving back down the corridor, they found the body furthest down the corridor to be mostly dissolved and eaten away. As the party investigated, joined by their newest companion Agnoth, they discovered that the wall at the edge of the corridor was not actually a naturally occurring wall. The wall at the edge of the corridor was in fact more like a long set up barricade. It had a layer of rock and mud and dirt that had kind of been placed over it and built up over it over time, sealing it off and making it look almost natural. But Upon inspecting bits of black slime that they found coming out from small gaps in the wall, matching what they found on the partially dissolved body, they found that, in fact, the majority of the wall was actually boxes and crates and bags and bits of wood and debris that had been built up and used to block off a chamber, or a pathway, splitting off from the path that they were on. As the party headed down the pathway, following the tunnel, they eventually made their way to a large open chamber, filled with a lot of bubbling pits, filled with thick black tar. However, as they were entering into the room to explore, they found that these pits weren't actually empty and were home to a colony of black puddings, which caught wind of the party as they were making their entrance and trying to see what was going on here. The puddings ended up making their way and attacking the party, who ended up pulling the puddings down the hallway and attempting to fight right in the entranceway, right at the corner. Some unfortunate lack of knowledge on black puddings led to some weapon degradation, as they have an effect that can damage and or destroy weapons and armor. They also had some unfortunate situations where the slimes ended up splitting when taking slashing damage, causing them to decrease in size, but also causing them to lose half of their hit points and have the hit points split between both of the new slimes. But the party was getting a little bit nervous about this situation, especially with the amount of slimes that were coming. It was at this point that Callium decided he was going to try and utilize some of his new abilities in an attempt to kind of get some distance between the party and these black puddings, so that they could make their escape, as they were pretty quickly starting to take damage and didn't feel like they were really equipped to handle this enemy. Unfortunately, as the rest of the party, I will adjust this here so you can all see everything, as the rest of their party was making their way out of the tunnel and had gotten a pretty good distance away from where Callium was, a couple turns worth of movement. Callium, who was starting to get surrounded by these slimes, pretty beaten up. Some of the slimes were pursuing the party. A lot had stayed back, or a couple had been destroyed. Callium ended up in a situation where he was able to catch all of the slimes in a lightning breath, not knowing that black pudding, much like how they split when they take slashing damage, also split when they take lightning damage. As a result, now being up against 6 slimes instead of the 3 he was previously facing, Callium ended up getting surrounded and falling without the party knowing what had happened to him. And unfortunately, as people probably can imagine, this ended up leading to his character being slain. Unfortunately, with Callium being slain, this led to a couple issues, least of which being the fact that previously, due to an experiment that had happened a few episodes back, the new powers that Callium had gained were from a Stormlord elemental, an especially powerful one, being summoned onto the material plane and put into his body, bound into him by Kestrel's mother, who ended up having another one of these elemental beings similarly bound to her. What they did not expect, and what I did not expect, was Callium ending up dying in the next mission, which released the Stormlord into the cavern, releasing it from its binds and releasing it onto the material plane. The Stormlord had his presence caused this massive maelstrom to break out within the caves, much stronger as they were close to the Stormlord. The party kind of panicked at this, not knowing what exactly had happened, what was going on, where Callium was. But they could feel the caves and the entire system shaking. The party, not wanting to meet whatever was causing this, and kind of fearing the worst for Callium, opted to flee with their newfound companion. They opted to begin making their way pretty quickly, honestly, out towards the exit, save for Warden and Corland. Corland wanted to, with his devotion to his god Talos, as a storm cleric, wanted to kind of stay and see if he could do something to hold off whatever was causing this maelstrom and storm within the caverns. Warden wanted to get him out of there and hopefully see if Callium was going to be following after them shortly, as the rest of the party just completely booked it, just making as much distance as they could, with June actually taking their new companion Agnoth and dimension dooring out to the stairs where they had first descended to this floor. Let me grab this. I realize Jorha is not here. Warden had Jorha pick up Corland and drag him off against his will, as he stayed back, hoping that Callium might appear. When Callium didn't, Warden as well began making his way out. As the party was fleeing back through the tunnel they had come down, trying to get out as fast as they could, Corland sent off a desperate prayer to Talos, asking him to get his get him and his friends out of the caves and to safety. Through some of the dumbest luck I've ever seen, he managed to roll a natural 100 on a D100, which resulted in Talos teleporting him and the rest of the party outside of the caves, just as the full power of the Stormlord erupted, bringing the cave, blowing out the top 2 levels, causing massive landslides, all in the general vicinity and around the outside. It completely buried the guild encampment that was at the entrance to the worm tunnels. The party didn't go back to investigate, but more than likely killing all of the NPCs that were currently there. Completely getting rid of the bugbears that were in the caves that the party had been negotiating with. And as far as the party is aware, more than likely, from their estimation, probably getting rid of the Beholder, the floor down as well. As the Stormlord's form began to rise out from this now massive crater in the side of the mountain, a giant rift in the plains beginning to form up in the air. The party, now completely deafened from the maelstrom and the resulting blast, began to flee, and as they were fleeing, Corland found that his shield, upon which his holy symbol to Talos was emblazoned, cracked and shattered. And the party, now missing Callium, proceeded to flee back in the direction of Sea's End, hoping to reach the Goldleaf farmstead and try to make contact with someone from the guild to let them know what happened. Again, I do apologize for the fact that this video was lost. Me simply saying what happened does not do justice at all to everything that went down. There was so much more intricacy to it, just from a role-playing and a character perspective during the actual game session, that I unfortunately can't bring to the table myself. It's really frustrating when something like this happens, especially when, we repost the VODs up to YouTube so that all of you who are seeing this who don't watch live on Twitch can enjoy the stream and enjoy the campaign alongside us. Unfortunately, the best I can do is apologize, give you this kind of summary, and hopefully we don't have this issue in the future with other episodes. But hopefully everyone is enjoying the campaign. I know myself and the players are all having an absolute blast with it. So hopefully everyone watching is as well. As you can see here, we do have a new character, Adelheim, which is the new PC that is being controlled by Enderfunk, who was previously playing Callium. But yeah, no, so I wanted to make this so people knew what exactly happened. So thank you for watching this recap. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully it kind of will serve to kind of fill in the blank between the last full VOD and the next one. We do stream this every other week on Saturday. starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my Twitch. There's a link down in the description to that. The weeks when we are not doing this game, we are doing the Monster Frontier campaign, which is also one that I post VODs for up here on YouTube. I'm a bit behind on that one, simply because of some behind-the-scenes difficulties with getting thumbnail stuff done. That's entirely on me. So we're a few sessions ahead of where that one is, but hopefully those will be getting up within the next few weeks, and I'll get caught up with that. But that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am a player in that, and Taylor, who controls Kestrel, our resident Aarakocra, is the GM for that campaign. It is a really fun campaign that kind of merges the D&D 5th edition world and the world of the Monster Hunter video game franchise, using a fan-made collection of rulebooks put together by Amelwind. So definitely check that out. Based on when I think this is going up, this Sunday as well, starting at 7, we are also going to be having what should be our last session, session 3, of a Call of Cthulhu Down Darker Trails one-shot, with myself, Dan, and Jacob as players, also being run by Taylor. We are all in the town of Deadwood and investigating some strange disappearances that have been happening at a nearby mining claim. It has been crazy. It has been a lot of fun. So hopefully VODs of that will be coming soon to the channel as well. And if you're free, go ahead and check out the what should be an awesome conclusion this Sunday. But folks, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you are all enjoying the campaigns that we are putting together. And we'll see y'all next time, the next VOD, and hopefully on stream. Peace.